Right, ladies and gentlemen, you join us here in Surrey, in Weybridge, where we've got suspicious characters hanging around the car, and the local residents have been concerned enough to call the police. Obviously, we are in a heightened state of terror at the moment, and our level is that severe. So, the first car to respond will be from our response unit. They will be coming down shortly from that direction up there to come and have a word with the suspicious character. Right, obviously, any calls like this we will treat with the utmost urgency. So they will treat with caution, and they will act appropriately. As you can see, legal force being applied to this guy. Now currently all they have to go on is that he's been acting suspiciously with the car and taking hits in the surrounding area. So they'll just give him a quick search, and they'll probably find his camera phone on him. Right, one officer is just going to have a look in the car because obviously when they came down they could see he was playing around in the back there. The officer is rather concerned and they're going to be taken away to a safe distance. They've now put in a call to our second unit who will be coming down now because they need to set up a cordon to maintain and also maintain a safe distance from the vehicle. We always set up a cordon. Obviously, we are restricted by the size of the ring here, but in real life the cordon will be much larger than this, and no one will be approaching the vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, I am glad we're standing at a safe distance. As you can see, this vehicle has now exploded. There is smoke coming from the vehicle and the police will immediately include the call to the bomb disposal team. Right, those sirens you can now hear is the bomb disposal team. They are now approaching. I'll be shortly hand over the call to our experts in the bomb disposal team.
So, this is a team from 11th Explosive Ordnance Disposal Regiment of the Royal Logistic Corps. They'll arrive at the scene, find out if they're safe and if everyone else is safe, and then they'll attempt to deal with the device. Because although there's been an explosion, it could be that the device hasn't completely exploded and is still quite angry, or it could be that there are other devices inside the car. So the first thing the team will try to do is send down a robot to deal with any devices that may be still within the car. They would be at a further distance away from where the car is, normally between 100 and 200 metres. So the wheelbarrow robot is coming off the van now. It's called a wheelbarrow because the very first ones were made out of parts from an electric garden wheelbarrow. And those very early ones, all they could do was attach a tow rope to a car so it could be towed away. This is the Mark 8B version, which has been in service for about 15 years. It's much more advanced, it's radio controlled, it has a series of weapons that can be used against the device. The whole purpose of this machine is so that the bomb disposal team can deal with the device from a safe distance. If the device does explode and the worst happens, all that occurs is the robot gets blown up. The robot is expensive, it costs about £200,000, but it has no next of kin. Fitted onto the wheelbarrow robot are a series of closed-circuit television cameras, and these are operated by the team number 2 from the back of the van, and he's watching how the vehicle's moving through TV screens in the van. If all of the doors and windows are closed, the robot can shoot the windows open, and it can also open the doors if need be. But in this case, one of the doors has been left open, so he may choose to go in through that way, or he may choose to shoot another window, depending on which gives him the better access. These robots are actually a lot harder to operate than they look. When you can see it directly, it's quite easy, but when you're operating through the cameras, there's no sense of distance or perspective. So it takes quite a long time for number 2 to become trained and proficient in using it. As the wheelbarrow goes into the car, the number 2 sees what he thinks is another device within the vehicle, and therefore he must take some action against that device. In this case, he's going to fire a weapon called a pig stick, which is in effect it's a disruptive gun that fires water. Because water can't be compressed to any appreciable degree, it comes out of the weapon at the same speed a bullet will come out of the rifle. It breaks up the components of the device, and the water disperses without setting the device off. And that's what's referred to as a controlled explosion. That would have disabled the device without setting it off. It will then carry out a remote search of the vehicle with the wheelbarrow, looking for other devices that are in there. And when he's done all of that, he'll put the wheelbarrow out of the way. Now, even though we think we've rendered this device safe using the wheelbarrow, the operator still has to make a manual approach down to the device to confirm this with his own eyes and his own hands. And he's just getting ready to do that now. Clearing a car manually can take up to 7 hours, but in this case, we should be doing it in about 2 or 3 minutes. As you'll see soon, the operator will appear carrying a manual weapon, which is exactly the same as the ones that were fired off the wheelbarrow. So that if, when he gets down there, he finds there's another device, or the first device hasn't been disrupted, he can place a weapon, retire to a safe distance, and then fire it again. When you see the operator appear, you can see he's wearing a protective suit. This is made out of Kevlar, which is the same material that a bulletproof vest is made from. It's designed to protect him against fairly small devices while he's stood next to them, or larger devices while he's still approaching or walking away from it. The whole suit weighs around 45 kilograms. Now I weigh 65 kilograms. So while I'm wearing the suit, carrying one of those weapons, maybe carrying some electronic equipment, maybe some hand tools, possibly carrying some X-ray equipment, most operators will easily be doubling their body weight. You can imagine on a day like this, within a few seconds, it's going to get quite hot inside that suit. Because of this, the suit has a number of fans which blow cold air into it, so the operator can stay relatively cool. So he's approaching the car. It's already getting quite hot now. In fact, he's probably sweating off the traffic warden in a mass test. And have a look around the general area to make sure there isn't anything else around there to surprise him. And then once he's happy with the general area, he'll approach the car a bit closer. On checking inside the car, he can see that his disruptive shot has been successful, and that device is now being rendered safe. However, he still needs to dismantle certain components and separate them from other components. In this case, there will be a detonator in the bomb. That's the bit he has to get and remove from the rest of it. You can see then, just doing a simple task like leaning inside a car in that suit, it's actually quite difficult to do without bumping into things. It's very difficult not to be clumsy in it. However, this is a job where people aren't really required to be clumsy. Now he's found the detonator, he's separated it from the circuit, he's put it into a box, and that device is now rendered safe. And he can now hand the whole scene over to the police, who will use all the components from the recovered device as forensic evidence, and hopefully they can secure a conviction against a terrorist or criminal using the bits of the device that are left over. Have a look, this is a Sergeant Danny Carter that's in the suit. When he takes his helmet off, have a look at the state of his head. It's very ugly to start with, and now he's sweating and ugly. And as you can see, having rendered that device to my safe, he is positively moist. We can now hand the scene back over to the police. We've got a car full of evidence.